they are, the Bulls and Bears this week. Gary B. Smith, Tracy Burns, Jonas Max Ferris, John Layfield, along with David Mercer. Welcome to everybody. Okay, John, paying for maternity care or other coverage you don't need is all part of America's value system?
No, not part of America that I understand. Look, it's part of a socialist system. If that's how you want to view health care, that it's a right, that it's not something that you should just pay for. Look, we also have paid tax to pay for defense also. It's not fair to compare defense and education spending to something like health care where people have the ability to pay for what they use. Look, how about we take the 65% home ownership that we have right now and let's have them pay a double mortgage or extra mortgage to pay for the people that are 35% who don't have homes because they have a right to have a roof over their head. Look, where does this end and where does it, it's somewhere we realize health care is not necessarily a specific right.
Well, the problem is, David, that you are paying for things you may not necessarily need and it's costing more too. Is that part of the value system?
Well, I believe that the whole objective of the Affordable Care Act is to lower cost overall to the economy and to individuals. But secondly, with regard to the Obamacare and what it affords in terms of benefits, look, insurance itself, none of us may need, a lot of us may not need to have a payout on our insurance, but we still pay for it and we may never use it. But the time may come when a catastrophic event occurs, an accident occurs, or a diagnosis comes where that needs to be covered under Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. And so whether you want it or you think you'll need it or whatever, at least the American people know that everybody is getting covered and has access to universal health care, and that is the overall goal of health care.
But David, I'm pretty sure John Layfield doesn't need maternity care. I'm just going with that.
And nor do I need maternity care.
I'm going with that. So,
but I don't mind paying for it as part of my overall insurance premium.
The analogy to property taxes is
then
so
you could
wrong.
wave out of it. Wave out of it.
David, the analogy to property taxes is wrong. You get to vote. As a matter of fact, I just went to the voting booths this week and voted on stuff that's happening in my area. And I get to move if I don't want to pay taxes. I can move to Florida or Texas where, hey, I don't have to deal with this kind of stuff. So I think it is very wrong to pull an analogy in like this that doesn't, you can't even compare apples to oranges here.
But Tracy, you could pay the fine and not get insurance if you don't like it.
Well, that's not okay, Gary B. Actually, you can't you go to Florida or Texas. They actually do have property taxes, but you can move to a different school district where they may have higher or lower taxes. There is some choice there. Is there a choice with Obamacare?
Well, not as I see it. Although I can now tell, I can see the left's new spin, which David revealed, where you can opt out of it. That's a new one. I'll give him that. I guess I had not thought that I can just say, hey, I'm not going to get out of it if I don't. But I had not heard that from your side, so I guess that's part of it. But on the other hand, I suppose if a vast majority of people opt out of it, the whole thing crumbles then anyway, because there's not going to be enough money paying in. But that's besides the point. On the property tax issue, yes, you're right, Brenda. You have to pay it virtually everywhere. I suppose, unless you live in an apartment or something like that. But the flip side of the property tax is, in theory, you get back value. I live in a high property tax area. The public schools are good, but the property itself should be worth more than in an area where the property taxes are a little bit lower. As far as, David mentioned that, well, you're paying in and you might not need this stuff in the insurance. Yes, but with regular insurance that you purchase on the private market, you can opt what things to get. You can choose a super high deductible if you want. This is kind of a one-size-fits-all. It's kind of forced on everyone down a path which, according to all the polls, most people don't really like.
And Jonas, what do you think? Is this part of the American value system to pay for these things that we may not necessarily
Unfortunately, I think it is, and I actually think Tom Harkin put it better than Obama has put the rationale for this. First of all, we could have voted out of it. You had a chance to vote for Romney and the Senate, and it would have been turned around. So the majority, by the same logic of the property tax, voted for extending and having this ridiculous rule. So we can't complain. That is American. My town just voted for a new school, for a stadium in the town, which I'm going to now have to pay for it. I don't have kids, and I don't care about athletics in the school district. You could say it helps the property values, but I already overpaid for the house because the property values were inflated because of the great school in the town. So unfortunately, that's America. You have to pay to pay for other people who can't afford. Most Americans.
No, wait a minute. Wait,
Let me
John.
finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Most Americans can't afford school. A third of Americans probably can't afford school. It'd be like 20 grand a kid. So everybody who's got a house, and we disproportionately charge the bigger homeowners, not the people with the most kids, to pay for your kid to go to school because you can't afford private school. That's how America works. I don't like it. I don't have 4 kids in the public school system. Well, that's how it works.
But John, basically, you can of course move. You could move, Jonas, if you didn't want to pay for that stadium. But with Obamacare, there is no choice. We are increasingly seeing there is no choice.
No, there is no option. Look, we also pay taxes, and that pays for the salaries of 535 congressmen, and that benefits absolutely nobody in America. so there is a precedent for this. Look, we're being forced to pay this, and where does this end? Where does it end that we're going to be paying these things? The reason I'm going to have to pay for maternity coverage, whether I opt out or not, it's going to be baked in somewhere, is because you're covering people through subsidies who cannot afford the health care insurance. Now, that's an economic argument, but where does that end? Does it end in disability? Does it end in long-term unemployment insurance? At what point do we ask people to actually start paying for their own way when they are able? And that is a basic difference in ideology in the way that most people that believe in free market see America as socialists see America.
Tracy, go ahead.
But I think that's the thing. There's no escape, right? I could go and research property taxes in Florida and go live down there if it bothers me so much that I pay exorbitant amounts in New Jersey, and sometimes I feel like I get nothing out of it, but I choose to live here. I can't choose out of Obamacare, right, Brenda? I mean, I have no choice, and I think that's the problem that everybody faces.
David?
You have different plans through Obamacare and through the exchanges, which you should research so you get one that fits what your needs are.
Are you telling the website here, David?
No,
I know.
Let's
the one that doesn't work.
We could take the whole half hour on that. Okay, Gary B., take it away.
Well, Brenda, I can almost agree, though, with Senator Harkin if the greater good, this value system, was going to benefit everyone. But from what I am seeing right now, at the end of Obamacare, we'll actually have less people insured, and overall we'll be paying higher premiums. So I'm not understanding. Okay, we got this forced march. If everyone was insured and premiums came down, I would say, yeah, okay, it worked out. It doesn't look like we're heading down that path. We're going to be in worse shape than we are, which makes it doubly annoying.
Okay, that's going to be the last word. Sorry. Thanks, guys. SOS IRS. This time it's for reportedly doling out $4 billion in tax refunds to, get this, ID thieves, including 655 refunds to a single address in Lithuania. What they could have bought, huh? And Gary B., this is who's going to be enforcing the health care law.
It's sad, isn't it, Brent? I don't want to pick on the IRS for the reasons Jonas has highlighted in his past months. I love the IRS. They are good people there. But the problem is with any government agency overseeing a big part of the administration of 20% of the economy, there's going to be waste and fraud. You go down the list of whether it's Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, food stamps, anything. Even if HHS was running this or a Department of Education, there would be fraud, waste, inefficiency. Unfortunately, that's what you get with a large government where the only goal is to build your department. The IRS shouldn't be doing it. It should be the private sector again, like we've said for, I guess, years now, that should be only involved in healthcare because they're the only ones accountable to a bottom line.
Okay, well, Gary B., you're safe for another year, I think. But John, how do you take this? I mean, they're going to be enforcing the health care law, which is already, as we're discovering, pretty much a mess.